I've been working as a colorist for almost 37 years now, and in the early days, it was pretty much always working with directors, producers. When you're doing commercials, you're working with large amount of clients, sometimes 12 clients at one time. So now that's changed quite a bit, and also the fact too that color grading systems during that time were extremely expensive. If you think of the very first DaVinci Resolve, cost almost 700,000 euros. And now today, the average grading system is within the budget of most people in the industry now. So it's very easy for people to obtain good color grading equipment, good monitors, and it gives them that additional ability to be creative in the industry. And so this is something that is very important to think about, that we didn't have when I first started. A lot of people have asked me, what difference has it really made for the colorist? And actually, it's quite a big change has occurred in the industry. A lot of colorists now are able to work remotely, and the idea of working in a room full of customers is not so frequent anymore. Even companies which typically would work with one or more clients are doing that remotely, and usually, for example, either a remote connection, or they're using things such as Zoom or anything like that. And also people are starting to revert to things such as cloud computing. They're using all sorts of different techniques for doing this. When colorists are then forced to do a lockdown, many of them actually say, well, if I'm not working with customers and I'm going to be in a lockdown, why do I need to be here in the city? I can go to Spain and have a small monitor, a grading system there, and I'm all set to go. So very often colorists will go and they'll take their laptop, a little portable monitor, and then use cloud storage, and they can carry on and continue working as they were before. For example, here, this is my home studio, and I'm using an Avid Artist Color panel. I've got a Mac Pro, and I've got two monitors here, and I'm using the Asus ProArt PA32UCX as my grading monitor. You can actually calibrate it yourself, or it comes pre-calibrated from the factory. And it's actually, I think a lot of companies now are going to revert to this situation permanently, because they realize that you no longer need to be in an office. You no longer need to be sitting there with a dozen customers and things like that. It's now a situation where you can actually set this up from home. You can have a camera set up if you want to have a link to the customer so that they can see you working, and you can see them and then get their approval. Everything is done perfectly like this. And then afterwards, using systems such as Frame.io or IO Gates, you can take the graded material, put it up there for them. They can look at it, give their approval, and they're all set to go. So it's really quite a different change in the industry. Because I've had a couple of colorists who've come over and said, oh gee, I'm going to go to Marbella and I'm going to do my color grading there. So they said they needed something small and affordable. And so I told them, why not use the PQ22 OLED monitor from Asus? This is a great little monitor. It actually comes in like a little flat case, like an artist carries his drawings around in. And this is a perfect monitor for grading. And then you have that together with a laptop and a high-speed internet connection and a small grading panel like this one, for example, and you're all set to go. So, I mean, it's really a big game changer what's going on too. And if you need to extend the power of your grading system, so for example, if you're grading with a laptop and the laptop's not powerful enough, then you could also revert to something like cloud computing. So there's all sorts of possibilities there. So for For example, you've got Eclipse Tech, and that with these you can actually go through and configure your own computer in the cloud, and so thereby your low-powered MacBook Pro or MacBook Air can actually run Resolve with full speed, so it's no problem at all. But even too, for example, I was talking to some of the colorists in Hollywood who were working, and what's happened too there is these people were working with, high-powered systems in a suite with, 5 or 6 GPUs and things like this. And what they have done now is, because they couldn't get into the office, their technical department of that company has actually set up a small system for them at home so they could continue working without having to come into the office. So, there's every part of this has actually been touched by the changes of the COVID pandemic. So it's something to think about with this. For example, this project that I was working on here, which is called Lava Line, this was actually shot on the island of Vanuatu near New Zealand. And actually the crew, when they came back, they had to go into quarantine, and then afterwards they did the edit in Austria, and then they came to me here in Munich, and I did the color grading for this project. And so then what I did is, when they wanted to make changes, they would just send me a DaVinci Resolve project file, and then I would go through and make the alterations to it, render it, put it back on the cloud, and then they could see the changes this way. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the industry, so it's something to really think about. The fact that freelance colorists can now put together a suite for so little money now. It's actually, for example, they can use, for example, lower powered equipment and then use cloud computing in order to boost their creativity on the system. They can also do editing, color grading, and even special effects using DaVinci Resolve and Fusion combined now. So there is a lot of things to think about there. And what I'm trying to do now is tailoring a lot of my training to actually take this into consideration, so people can be able to make better use of the new tools that are available for the changing world. And so have a look on my website, which is blakejones.com, or you can also have a look at my YouTube channel, and you can actually see a lot of the new stuff that's coming up, and I'm creating new videos to try to take advantage of this. So I hope this video gives you some insight into what's happening in the changing world now. And also, don't be afraid to leave some comments below, and I will definitely respond to you. Think about subscribing to my YouTube channel. I've got a lot of great videos there, and when you click on the bell, you'll get a notification when the new videos come up. I'm an iColorist instructor, and we frequently have what we call the mixer events and webinars and things like this, and it's a wonderful way of exchanging information with other colorists in the field. And so you can find out more what's happening around this. And so, for example, we did a 24-hour iColorist mixer event, and now we've got one that's actually going to be coming out in April too, so there will be a shorter version of that. I hope you have a great day and look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot.